Hello everyone, my name is Nianchen Xu and the theme of this project is Titanic Visualization Analysis. The dataset contains the information about passengers and whether they survived or not after the accident. There are several variables such as sex, age, peak class. The problem of this project is to see the relationships between state of survival and other useful factors. After finding out these relationships, we can predict whether passengers survive or not, based on their information with a higher accuracy. I made four assumptions about the relationship between survival state and different factors, and then used Tableau to visualize the dataset to get a conclusion. This dataset gives us many information about the passengers, including whether they were dead or alive after the ship was destroyed. So I focused the visualization part on the relationship between state of survival and other factors. However, some variables have almost no effect on the survival, such as passengers' ID and ticket number, so I didn't take them into consider. The first hypothesis I made is about the relationship between survival and passengers' gender and their departure cities. First, from my point of view, I would like to suppose that females are more likely to survive than males, because when an emergency happens, males have stronger ability to help themselves, while females are weaker. So, under a bad situation, males will help female escape first. Second, the sequence of arrival is Southampton, Cherbourg, Queenstown. I think people who boarded the ship earlier can have a higher possibility of survival because they are more familiar about every part of the ship so that they can find helpful rescue staff and get to the safe place immediately. This plot is about these two factors. The plot proves my ideas perfectly. First, it's obvious that female has a much larger number of survival than male in a general view. Second, the total number of survived people is in the same order of sequence of departure place from bigger number to smaller number. The second hypothesis contains two factors, sex and age. The gender part is the same as previous one. I just added the factor of age. I assume that people aged between 20 and 30 get a highest possibility of survival because they have a stronger body. The plot shows very clearly that survival number reached the peak in the range between 20 and 30 for female. However, the peak comes a little bit late for male. This is not surprising since people of this age have a stronger body than older and younger people. Also, I found the thing that besides people in this range, children also have a good possibility of survival in the whole group, both for female and male. This means that people always try to give their children the priority of being alive. This is what parents always do. The third assumption had no relationship with gender finally. It's about the class and fare. People who bought tickets of higher price and who are in the higher class will get a more thoughtful service, which means they will stay in a more comfortable room and have their own servants who will always satisfy their needs. So, when the terrible thing happens, they may use money or their power to ask others to give the chance of life to them first. There's no doubt that people who are in the first class have the biggest number of survival and have a bigger range of fare. Some of them cost a lot for the ticket. However, for the second and third class, there's no clear evidence to prove my assumption. It's even the opposite of what I supposed. People from the third class survived more than those from the second class, but the difference is very small. The possible explanation for this can be that people from the third class can bear more torture. The last assumption is related to people's emotion. If the person boarded the ship only on his own, with no friends or relatives, then he would probably just think of himself. But if the person has many loved people on the ship with him, he can't just see them die. So in this case, people with more acquaintances on ship have smaller possibility to survive. In this plot, circles with different areas represent different numbers of survived people. Larger circle represents larger number of survived people. The number of two kinds of acquaintances all become bigger in the direction of extended x-axis and y-axis. The circles just become smaller in the same direction. People who are alone have the biggest number of survive. This also proves the assumption perfectly. Now we can have a deeper insight of the results. In the dashboard, I put 4 sheets together to get a general view of all the related factors. I choose female departed at Southampton as the sample because this group has the biggest percentage of total survived people, so it's meaningful to analyze this group with more details. So, for this group, they also have more people who aged between 20 and 30 survived than other ages. They are also more likely to survive when they don't have friends or relatives on the ship. However, the second class survived more. This is just one example. For different groups of people, we can see different results, but most of the time the result will be the same as that of the whole sample. Based on all the plots I did, there can be several conclusions. First, female aged between 20 and 30 are most likely to survive, and females survive much more than male. Also, young children also have a good possibility to survive because they are loved a lot by their parents. Second, people who are in the higher class and paid higher fare have the biggest possibility to survive. Third, people with less acquaintances are more likely to survive. Also, people who got on the ship earlier have a larger probability to survive. After all, it's hard to say which one is the main factor to affect the possibility whether people can survive or not, since this is a very complicated situation and human is also complicated. Thank you, that's all.